So what's happening in the real world? What's percolating right now in school? Anything?
Not really. I mean, real world is in outside of Carteret County.
No, or just outside of Carter County, in the county. What's happening? Anything much?
Not much has been circulating, I don't think.
Yeah, not much that I can really think of.
We've got football. Finally got football started.
Yes. Yeah. Mullet bucket.
Yeah, mullet bucket. And that was a tough year for East Carteret. A tough 5 years for East Carteret, as a matter of fact. Yeah. But we got the mullet bucket. And of course, I was just reading. I didn't realize it. I'm looking at tonight's issue of the Carteret County News-Times. New Bern came back and beat Havelock. And that's an impressive story because Havelock has a quarterback which was going to be playing, I think, at West Carteret originally. Huh. Oh, yeah.
Wait, what? Do you know the name?
No, this is quite a story. The fact that we now, of course, we'll talk about this. Now students basically with name, image, and likeness, even in high school, are going to have the opportunity to collect a little money.
Really?
Yeah. So and it's sports is taking on a whole new shape or dynamic because of money.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting in your metropolitan communities like Charlotte and some of the surrounding communities, the bedroom communities of your metro markets, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, the Triad. You're going to start seeing a lot of players whose parents probably going to make some sort of arrangement to locate in those communities so that their children can play football or basketball. I think baseball is still considered a sport, but anyhow, I'm not a big baseball fan. But anyhow, but these youngsters are now going to be working to have an opportunity to make money.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard about, even at West Carteret, I've heard about, like, for instance, Croatan has a very good cross-country program.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah,
and
very
so,
good.
And
Yeah.
track. And so I've heard that some parents are considering moving or just trying to, like, pull some strings to get their kids to go to Croatan just for their cross-country team.
Yeah.
We I believe we won state last year.
Yes, you did. Yeah. No, it is. Sports is taking on a whole new sense about it, and partly I think maybe a little bit about making money, but also obviously the issue of scholarships and the opportunities there too. But even that is a problem because now a student may be recruited to go to a school, but a year later they've transferred to another school because of the transfer portal. So there's it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the issue of team loyalty and team support, because and I think that's going to be a problem in college. I don't know that it's going to be a problem in high school yet, but you wait and see. Because they'll finagle a way to have your quality athletes find a way to get to a school that has a reputation. Mm-hmm. And gains opportunity for the students. We'll talk about so basically the whole idea of NIL in high school hasn't really been a topic of discussion.
No.
Okay. Well, in your metropolitan markets, it's growing. So we'll see about that. All right. The other thing I want to talk about, and we'll take a quick break on before we get into it. I mentioned the issue of ballots and an interesting announcement. Apparently, the younger generation, teenagers, younger, I'm going to say 25 and under, have expressed a lot more interest and willingness to want to vote by mail. Now, I find that interesting for two reasons. One, didn't know that do you all even know what mail is?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. No.
Do you ever get a letter? Do you ever write letters?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've written a few letters.
A few.
I'm not saying- I mean,
I've written some letters in my time.
I mean, like, I'm not writing letters all the time, but of course I've written a few letters.
Like a lot of thank you notes.
I'm sending
Yeah.
them by pigeon and
Yeah.
Message in a bottle.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys really aren't big into writing. I'll acknowledge that right out of the gate. So, but yeah. All right. So the fact that apparently the young voters are interested in and feel very comfortable by voting by mail, which I find interesting. But I'm wondering less about the issue of the politics, but what does that say about the demographics and this aspect of showing up at events? The question I asked, and is related to the issue of balloting. Now, I'm not worried about you voting. We're not going to get into politics. But what caught my attention in this story is that younger voters are comfortable and actually want to vote by mail. And I'm thinking, wait a second, a lot of that population really doesn't engage in paper documents, except in school. We'll get to that a little later on. But I'm wondering, is that an indication that, and this actually goes to another topic altogether, on the use of our technology, that is, cell phone technology, computers, social media, etc. Is that an indication, or is the reason for that I'm going to say you all are comfortable in that environment and actually prefer that environment, that they prefer, communicating through an instrument rather than being at an event, rather than carrying on some sort of one-on-one communications. You're shaking your head in agreement on that one, Sally.
Well, I see what you're saying, and I think that that's definitely the case for a lot of younger people right now. I don't agree with it. I think I would much rather be in person and be able to ask questions and all of that. But I also think it's interesting because I've heard from a lot of different entrepreneurs and business owners that younger employees don't want to call. Like
right.
they just want to email or text or things like that.
Exactly.
They don't want that confrontation. So I feel like that has something to do with what you're saying.
All right. With that, let's transfer that over then into the school environment, in where you're meeting with your peers, your other classmates. Again, Charlie, Francis, let me start with you on this one, Charlie. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I want to get into genders as well. Men versus women, okay? But preference. Yeah, Sally's doing. All right. What about your peers, your communications, but also your gender?
Well, for like communicating, like texting and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm necessarily an outlier here, but I don't really, like on social media, I don't really like text that often, unless they're like a really close friend of mine. Because like, if they're not like a close friend, I'm not gonna really communicate with them at all. And on Snapchat, you can send like photos and stuff. And if I'm not really interested in talking to a person, I'll just send them like a picture of like my wall or something.
Wow, yeah. I can hardly wait.
Yeah. But also for calls, I don't really call a lot of my friends unless we're like trying to do like a quick communication of like, hey, I'm at this place and you're coming. So like if we're making plans.
Right.
So, and usually I don't call any of my friends very often to like just talk and have like a conversation. We usually do that over text because it's a bit easier. You can do other things while...
You can multitask when you're texting?
Yeah. I mean, to a certain degree. Also, you don't have to respond immediately. It gives you a little bit more time to process.
Hey, we got to get to the response part here in a moment. Okay. All right. So guys, you say guys in school you do communicate voice communication.
Yeah.
But not a great deal of texting.
No, the other way around. I think it's more common for guys to text rather than call.
Okay. All right. Francis.
I think in person, I definitely see guys communicate more in person than via text message or I don't know. In my experience, I'll text a guy and he won't answer, but I'll see him the next day. I'll be like, "How you doing?" And it's like, "Okay, well."
Ghosting. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Oh, not that.
Yeah.
I just meant like.
But look, here's the point, and to that observation, I have been criticized because I don't respond instantly back.
Right.
You know, with some sort of emoji or something like that. I don't. I go, oh, okay, you're going to be here, fine, and I just go on about business.
Right.
But you're expecting me to acknowledge that I got your message, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, now I got to work harder. Okay, but here's my question. Do you see this, and this is to Sally's comment a few moments ago, do you see this as a trend that is momentary, or do you see this as a trend and a way of life, if you will, that is kind of permanent, that, related to how we communicate? Because this raises another issue altogether. But what's your thought on that, Francis?
You mean like the
fact that you're going to be communicating by text? How much?
Right.
How much? From ladies to lady, how much time do you spend actually texting?
Honestly, I'm a pretty bad texter. I feel like I don't spend a whole lot of time
really?
texting. Yeah, I will. I
Wow.
prefer to text a lot of the time, but I just don't really. I don't know. I don't feel. I don't have a reason to text people a whole lot.
Sally?
It's funny because Francis and I have had this conversation before when I'll call Francis and Francis would be like, I don't like to call.
Oh, you don't?
I love to call.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I call.
Oh,
I think I call my friends. I call my friends often. I don't really like to text, but I also think. Sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, to your point with what you asked, Francis, I think the whole trend that we're seeing of people texting or communicating through an instrument rather than saying it face to face is a maturity thing. I don't think it's something that's going to be permanent, and I think
Okay.
it's just because they don't have that kind of confidence and self assuredness.
Is it an issue of confidence, or is it an issue of just convenience?
I think it's convenience. I think it's effort as well. It takes more effort to, go up to someone and talk to them. You're probably going to talk to them more if you're talking to them in person. That's going to have some more conversation. A text is just a text.
Whereas text is just a brief.
Right.
You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But the other aspect of this is, at times, do you not feel that you've probably missed an opportunity based on, I don't know, a phrase that was used or a word, and you suddenly say, oh, okay, I can't imagine a situation, but it leads to another topic or another a different conversation. Has that ever occurred to you all?
What do you mean? Like over text?
You're talking to someone as opposed to texting. And in the conversation, they use a word or they use a phrase or they I don't know. They say something that sparks a thought in your mind, and you go, "Oh, are you going to such event, for example?" Mm-hmm. That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like when you talk in person, there's more conversation,
and it builds on that.
right?
It's
like
more active.
You connect with people more.
Okay. All right. So the question then goes to, and this leads to yet another topic altogether with technology. States, school systems, and now I understand, if I'm not mistaken, even California, the state of California, is throttling, if not literally prohibiting, the use of your cell phones in school.
Wow.
What impact would that have?
I mean, ours already kind of are prohibited in school.
I mean, you can't have it out unless specifically allowed by a teacher.
Do you mean like you're not allowed to bring them to school in California?
Or they lock them up when you come in?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we haven't done anything like that yet.
Right.
I mean, we have this system, and they've really cracked down on it this year at West, where if they just see your phone, then they can send you to ALC, which is like our
Okay, send
Like
you where?
detention.
detention.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like in your pocket or they see it like tucked in your backpack pocket or something, they're like,
Put it away.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
we
it is
should
away.
be able to see- Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, the hammer comes down.
Right.
Yeah.
It has been at West. I don't know about
Yeah,
Croatan.
it's pretty much the exact same way that.
Oh, you
Croatan-
guys are really, you'd game the system, huh?
What do you mean?
What do you
Well,
mean?
you would take advantage of somebody being nice. I say game the system. Yeah, okay. I'm distressed by. No, I'm not. All right. So the issue of the fact that the technology is now, in some instances, being prohibited. My question to you is next: if it is prohibited, is that a positive insofar as your academic experience in school? Does it help you relative to your class awareness, your attention span? What's your thought? Well, is that do you think that'll have a benefit in that regard? You're kind of acknowledging that, Francis.
I mean, I think I'd be lying if I said I'd never checked my phone during class before, but
What?
I don't think. I mean, no, I don't think it's really had an impact on me though. If I've ever had to, it's just been to like, check something, or like if I'm, expecting a message from something important or something like that. But I don't think it's ever taken away from like
It
me
hasn't
actually sitting and learning in class.
Apparently, it has.
I mean, I know for some people, probably, definitely, but just me personally.
Charlie?
Certainly for some kids, I imagine it does take away, because I've seen, like, during lecture, like when the teacher's talking a lot, some kids will like take out their phone, kind of look at it under the desk,
Right.
Or they'll go to the bathroom and be in there for a prolonged period of time, so that they can like look at their phone and stuff because they don't want to be in class.
Okay, Sally, I'm going to come to an observation here in a moment, but what about you and your thoughts? How influential would this be if, in fact, you had to have your phones locked up in school? Would it enhance your and let's just acknowledge here for a moment, you are not necessarily the target of this conversation, okay? I'm talking about the vast majority of the students, okay? So as best you can, put yourself in the shoes of another student or a lot of the students you see. Would this enhance their attention span?
I think 100%. I mean, it would enhance my attention span. I know that I get distracted because I get in the zone. And if I have my phone right there, it's a distraction. And then I look at it and I want to do a million different things on it. And it's just this little instrument that I can do.
The whole concept of ADD, attention deficit disorder.
I don't have
Well,
ADD.
no. Well, if everybody jokes about that, but the fact that you get distracted, that you can go down rabbit holes when you're trying to also, pay attention to or actually accomplish a task. Let's say, take a test. Does this? So, in essence, that convenience, that factor, plays a role in your generation.
I think so.
I think so as well.
It's interesting. I would say that to be a quasi-psychologist, by the way, which one, Francis, were you the one who said you wanted to get in psychology?
I think that was Charlie.
Yeah, that was me.
Charlie? Oh, Charlie, I'm sorry. I got a text on that last week, and he said, we need to talk. He's going to convince you otherwise, but that's another story. But the point is that the assumption is young minds are distracted easily. I would say to you that I think a lot of adult minds are distracted easily too. And the real kicker here is it a matter of just the nature of the device? It's so convenient. It's so colorful. It's so fast. Snapchat, for example, Instagram. Do you see this as sort of, I'm going to use the term addictive?
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly.
You all agree to that.
For sure.
I think with like the rise of short form media, especially like TikTok and like Instagram Reels and stuff like that, it's been like a lot harder for people to have solid attention spans, and because they're so used to
Just scrolling.
knowledge and not knowledge, but like information just being crammed into such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And then you can just scroll and have so much more like immediately available.
It's just like a dopamine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
this constant dopamine because you're constantly processing things. And something that I've noticed when I'm doing it is like I'll be scrolling and I'll forget. Like sometimes I'm like, man, what did I see like 3 Instagram reels ago? And I just won't remember because it's not important enough. It's just kind of dopamine that just goes across your brain and out, like in one ear and out the other, pretty much.
I'm sitting here. I'm intrigued by this. I'm not a fan of reels. They show up on my Facebook. Every now and then I'll look at one simply because it's an intriguing circumstance. I don't know how anybody found out, but I'm a sailor, and so I see the reels on the America's Cup. But that's interesting. But beyond that, I can't get in. I can't get sucked into reels. I simply because I got to be doing something. I've actually got to be on the move. That's just personal, intrigue. But I can't stop long enough to watch a variety of reels. They just, I don't know. It bugs me.
Well, I think a lot of people use watching like short form media, kind of like Francis was saying, like TikTok or Instagram reels as a way to relax. Like instead of.
But do you really relax?
No, I don't think so. I think being on your phone for that long just makes you more anxious. It like makes me more anxious. I don't know about y'all.
I'm on my phone a lot
Oh,
all the time.
Charlie?
It kind of depends. Like if I'm focused on something, like if I'm actively watching, like I don't usually relax when I'm doing that, but like sometimes it's nice, I feel, just to kind of turn my brain off and just like scroll through, not entirely pay attention, but it's just something to just kind of mellow out to. I don't have to, it's not something I have to actually actively focus on like a TV show.
A topic that came up last week and I wanted to bring up, and that is some very interesting stories about individuals being scammed. And the fact that apparently folks that you would think who would not be prone to scamming are scammed. We're talking people in the ages of 45 and older. And what I'm wondering is there something that you are better prepared, or do you feel that you could just as easily be induced into or seduced into a scam? And a case in point, and of course we got to get to this issue of artificial intelligence because that's a big issue now. The fact that artificial intelligence can now, just from this program itself, listen to the 3 voices and then create a whole person using just the few words that you've spoken to create a voice that sounds just exactly like you. Maybe with 1 or 2 instances that are nuances, we'll use that word, that the artificial intelligence didn't quite pick. But we're seeing this now. I'm wondering, I'm not trying to set you up here, but I'm curious. Do you feel that you are better prepared to deal with scammers? Let's say with cryptocurrency or gift cards and things of this nature. Somebody says, "Hey, look, I've got your textbooks, or I don't know, I've got your grades, and I can ruin your career in college." Would you fall prey to that? That's my question, Sally.
No, I don't think so. And I also think that the age demographic that you said, even though you think that those people wouldn't get scammed, I feel like, and I don't know how they feel, that older generations are more susceptible to scams. Like I would think that they were more vulnerable to those because they aren't online as much as we are.
Charlie.
I can say I agree with that. There's a certain threshold, I feel like once a person is past a certain age point, they're most likely more likely to get scammed because they're not as knowledgeable about certain events. Like they don't know that it's AI. If you don't mind me saying, but I've had personal experience with this because my nana, she got scammed because I'm not entirely sure it was AI, but someone over the phone had said that my brother had gotten in like an engine, like an accident.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
I mean,
yep.
she didn't have any access to like any credit cards or something. Like, thank goodness. But it was real scary because I mean it tore to pieces, and I mean I feel terrible, and I just the people who do that.
Wait. Do you really like your brother that much?
Yes.
No, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. Okay. Speaking of brothers, you did pick up your brother today.
Actually, he didn't have football practice.
Okay, he didn't have
thank
football.
God.
I'm sorry. Back to you, Charlie. So, yeah, this is the sort of thing where the other side of that equation, and I'm going to just pick on you for a moment, Charlie. The other side of that equation is she's got a great deal of emotional investment in her grandson.
Yes.
You said Nat. I want to make sure. She has a great deal of emotional investment in you, in your brother, and other siblings. So there's a tendency to be fearful for.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the differentials here, because right now you don't have quite the emotional connectivity. But go ahead, Sally.
So I don't think that is what it is. I think we have the emotional connectivity, but I think we don't feel the responsibility.
Okay.
Like she's older, and so she's going to think that she has to be responsible for her grandson.
Correct.
But we're the kids in the situation. So if someone were to scam us and be like, "Your parents in trouble," we're like, "No, they're not."
Yeah.
Like that's mom. Like
Yeah.
she's fine.
Yeah.
She's got it.
Also, what are we gonna do?
Your parents
Right,
are
yeah,
listening.
sure.
Your parents are listening to this, Sally, and they're going, "Oh, okay."
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
If you're like,
Glad to know my
your
daughter
your
would
dad.
save me.
Yeah, if you're like, oh yeah, your dad's in jail. I'm like, no, he's not. He's far too sensible for that.
David is just fine.
Yeah.
I know your dad. Yeah, you're right. All right, Francis, you've not said too much about this. What's your thought?
I definitely agree that I think the older folks are more likely to
Be scammed?
Yeah, and then it's not as severe as what Charlie was saying, but my mom a couple weeks ago got a call from someone saying that, Francis had signed up for the PSAT or the SAT, and she ordered these materials, and we're contacting
Yep,
you about and my mom, because she figured, I had signed, because I did sign up for the SAT. She figured, oh, she's asking, she needs me to buy these for her. And she was like, oh, I'll call you back. I'll talk to her about it. And she texted me. I was like, I did not do that, actually. Someone's trying to scam you, I think. And she wouldn't have known if she hadn't called me, because apparently they had my name. They knew my school, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That is one of those issues where, quite frankly, case in point, I get a lot of emails, and you've got to log in immediately in order to maintain connection in your email account or whatever. And of course, I always, the image they send all fits the company's images that we utilize. Okay, Google or whatever. But I always look at the extension in the email address, dot blankety blank. And if you look at it, many instances they'll actually use a university's name for that final extension in the address. Oh yeah. And it's sort of to give it a sense of legitimacy, and they're able to somehow acquire the use of that extension. But, I've had people say, oh, I got this email, and I had to, if I didn't respond immediately, they were going to shut down my account. And of course, in the process, they end up introducing a worm into their program or something of that nature. I am to the point where, frankly, I'm paranoid. If I do not know, I'm confident of the source of the information, I just don't even open the mail. And I'm just wondering, are you all the same way?
Yeah, kind of. With text messages, at least, if I like, so often it'll go to like the folder that's like I don't recognize it. My phone doesn't recognize the number, and I'll look at it, and it will say like, your package has arrived, and I'm like, I haven't ordered a package in 2 months, and then I just
PayPal has been trying to send me money now for weeks.
Right. I just click report to junk. like report
Yeah.
the number and send.
Oh,
to
you do
junk.
report it.
Yeah.
I'll get like a text from an email that's just like a bunch of letters all jumbled together, and it's like your Apple security is at stake. Please
Right, that's what I'm
click
talking
this
about.
link,
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
I'm not going to actually. I don't think it is.
Oh, okay, that I'm thinking you all, and I say that your generation are more adept at that than our generation.
I think so.
All right.
Respectfully.
Okay. No. Don't be respectful. I don't care. Okay, Charlie. You said at the opening because I asked you, were you guys losing any free any days off, any whatever? Do you all ever go to school? I mean, really. Back in the days when I went to school, we never got time off. We worked, 365 days out of the year. We walked in the deep snow all year long, uphill both ways. Anyhow, back to the issue. You've never heard that before. Okay. But now there was, of course, an effort to arrange to have your exams prior to Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's now going to happen after Christmas.
Yes.
And you're not happy about that.
Not at all.
Why not?
Well, it's because I believe it was a lawsuit proposed by the local businesses around here.
Yep.
That during summer they wanted, I think it was like 10 extra days for
They wanted to have school not open until the 26th of August, roughly.
And I just don't think that's right, because that's affecting the students a lot more, because I mean a lot of people may forget a lot about what they've learned over the course of a Christmas break. I can attest that I usually do, and I think it's really unfair that businesses just like, okay, well, we're going to
But we've always been this way. I'm giving you a hard time on that one. All right, well, okay. So you prefer prior to Christmas?
Yes, I mean, hasn't it been prior to Christmas for a while now, hasn't it?
No.
Yeah. For us, it has.
Yeah,
I never
for us
knew
it
it was
hasn't.
before.
Yeah, for all of our years of high school,
Or,
it's
I
been.
mean,
Wait a second. You said it has been prior to Christmas before?
Oh,
now?
a majority of for pretty much my entire school career.
Right. So this year it's in January.
Yes.
But they didn't change anything. Pardon me. This year would have been the change. The previous years it was basically as it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. We don't like the change.
Yeah, we don't
we
like
would
the
rather
change.
it be
But-
in
but-
December
but-
before the spring winter break.
But the point is that the plan was to have you go back to school about 10 days earlier than was allowed on the state statute. But you've been going back to school on the current schedule for years prior.
Right. I think the issue with that was that we had a lot. The teachers had a lot less time in the first semester to teach us the curriculum.
Okay.
Compared to second semester. Mm-hmm. And I also think going off of what Charlie said, it does kind of suck that we have to take them after Christmas, but I just think the reason is because I don't want to be stressed out about it. Like after Christmas, like on Christmas break, I just want to be like, all right, I'm so ready for a fresh start. I have my classes behind me, because we get like at least a week of review when we come back from winter break.
Do.
So I'm not too worried about forgetting the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Francis, you agree with that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Because for me, a break is a break. Like I want to just come back and have it be, a fresh start.
Yeah, and I don't have
a
to.
new semester.
You don't have to worry about coming back and like, oh no, I have to still take exams, which is worth 25% of my grade.
Right.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it's a
Big
huge chunk. Yeah.
Okay, now wait a second. In years past, if you had A's in class, you didn't have to take exams.
For certain things, yes.
Certain.
Well, it's the exam exemption policy for our school. It's that you can miss up to 5 days.
Okay.
And you have to have, I think, above an 85.
It's the same here, but it also changes for like if you have a state exam, you can't get exempt from that.
You can't get exempt from
Right.
state exams.